We're here with another episode of the Made in New York podcast. Today I have guest Sharifa Murdock, who I'd love to give a title, but has so many things going on that I'm going to let her explain it to all of you.
Oh, okay. So Sharifa Murdock is my name. Sharifa says on Instagram, just so everyone knows.
We'll tag you like right here.
You'll tag me right there?
Yeah.
Amazing. Basically, I am the co-owner of fashion trade shows, which is Liberty Fairs, Cabana, and Capsule. And I recently just started a new festival conference called Envision Fest.
Mm-hmm.
And how I got my start was basically working in retail.
Mm-hmm.
I was a girl that grew up in Brooklyn, born and raised.
Okay.
And I traveled to the city every day, and there was a store that was super hot called Atrium.
Mm-hmm. Used to be like right around the corner.
It's right up the street.
Yeah. They just closed.
Yeah. They closed like a couple years ago.
Oh, I thought it was more recent.
Yeah.
Well, that's how disconnected I am. Okay.
But basically, the guy who owned Atrium, like he was my mentor and now my business partner.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, he's the one who developed how I work, and just I learned so much from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep learning more. We're partners now with Liberty and all the trade shows and Envision. And basically, he's the one who has pushed me throughout my career.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, working in retail,
Mm-hmm.
and you had this mentor.
Yes.
What pushed you to like take that first stab at something that wasn't the retail gig?
Well, it's interesting because when I left, I was working in Atrium and I was working at Louis Vuitton.
Okay.
And when I was at Louis Vuitton, Sam, being my mentor, called me and was like, everyone's coming back. And there's a big joke that anyone that worked in Atrium once, they worked there twice. Because you'll leave, you'll come back, you'll leave, you'll come back. And I was like, well, I'm in Louis Vuitton. You know, this is like this is another level of fashion.
Right. I've done
and
made
he was
it.
like, I made it.
Yeah.
I'm buying all the bags.
Yeah.
And he was like, just come, I have something for you to do. And for some reason, his voice was so calming, I just trusted him. And I knew, I didn't know what was in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew it would have been better than what was behind me.
Okay.
And basically, he took me under his wing, and a couple months later, he was like, I want you to do this trade show. And I was like, what's a trade show? I was 23 years old. I went to school for fashion merchandising and buying. So like when you went to fashion school, it was either to be a designer or to be a buyer. Like that's what it was back in the day. And he was like, a trade show, and he gave me the spiel, and he was like, I want you to call these people and tell them to do my show. And I was like, they're not going to listen to me. Like, I'm 23, I'm so young. He was like, just call them. And in actuality, they did, and they came on board. And the best thing about the opportunity that was given to me was like, I was able to make mistakes.
Right.
And there was no repercussions for those mistakes. It
Mm-hmm.
was just like, you learned, let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I like always hold near and dear to my heart, is that he trusted me and he saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself
Mm-hmm.
at the time, and he gave me the opportunity to do trade shows.
So, you just said something I want to touch on for a second. You talked about it's okay to make mistakes.
Yes.
So, as an employer now, how do you handle when your employees or the people you're collaborating with or whatever the situation is make mistakes?
I don't get upset and I don't get frustrated. What I do is try to talk it out, and I kind of want to understand how was it done, and like, did you learn from that, and like, this can't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are my three things. Like, what happened? Did you learn from your mistake? And like, how do we change? How do we make this not happen again?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I handle it. I don't like get upset and frustrated unless it's like something crazy, but I really don't.
Okay. I agree with most of that. So let's go back. 23 years old, you're running this trade show.
Yeah.
No clue, but you're like making it happen.
Uh-huh.
How did you take that? Talk to me about how that role changed from like employee to boss.
Business. Okay. So basically, I had ran the trade show for 10 years.
Okay.
And within that 10-year span, we ended up getting purchased.
Mm-hmm.
It's like simple. I started with 67 brands. By the time we got purchased, I had over 1,000 brands. I was solely responsible for bringing in the majority of those brands.
Okay.
So when another company takes interest in you to purchase you, it's a big deal.
Right.
So I stayed on with that company for 2 more years. Sam had departed. And then he just called me back and he was like, look, I want to do this again. I want to do another trade show. And I was like, oh no. After 10 years, I was like, not another trade show. He was like, no, but we're going to be partners in this. And I sat and I thought to myself, like, I can either work for someone for the rest of my life or own something for the rest of my life. And I felt it was necessary for me, a young African-American girl, growing up from Brooklyn. Like, how dope would that be?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that was just how it was done. And he, like, literally, he was like, I'm not doing this without you. So like there he is again. He always presented himself like, look, you're my business partner, and he's always treated me as such.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been an amazing ride, you know.
Have you employed some of those same beliefs in like your structure? Like, do you find yourself
100%.
mentoring people now?
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with mentoring people. My assistant probably wants to murder me because everyone that hits me up on DM or anyone that calls me, I'm like, yeah, I'll be your mentor. Come in and talk to me. And she's like, you don't have enough time to do this stuff. But I feel like it's so necessary. I feel like you have to give back. You have to pay it forward because someone gave me an opportunity.
Right.
So how am I not going to not give someone
Right.
else an opportunity? And that was that was the premise of me starting Envision. So a lot of people used to hit me up about like mentoring them. And I was like, I would love to, but then it's like, I can't mentor all these different people.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many other women that they can probably learn from.
Right.
So I was like, I was going to a lot of festivals throughout the year, and I was just like, I'm not getting what I need from these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I look at a little brown girl like myself growing up in Brooklyn,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like a lot of the things that were being catered wasn't helping them.
Okay.
It was just like, okay, I'll give you this, or and not to say that it's wrong, that it just didn't do anything for me. So I wanted to inspire young girls, and I wanted to grow. I want them to understand that they can be better than.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what made me start Envision. And when I went to Sam again, and I was like, look, I want to do this thing, he was like, all right, let's partner up and let's do it. And then I brought in my girl from Hot 97, Laura Stiles, and she was like, let's do it. Me and her have been friends for years, and we watched each other grow. I watched her career flourish in like such a big way, and I'm so proud of her that I wanted to work with her. Like, we always talked about how can we work together, and this was the opportune time to work with each other.
I like want to vicariously be her like luggage.
Oh my God.
Because I've been watching
have you seen her trips?
for real, like every other time I turn around,
So we
she's
have
somewhere.
this conversation all the time, and she's like, I'm working. I'm like, okay, but your trips look like something else. Like, I went to Cuba, and the Cuba that I saw and the Cuba that she saw was two different Cubas.
Yeah.
And I was like, but what? She was like, I do the research. Like, her trips are like phenomenal. I like drool and stuff like all over it on Instagram because I want to be in her luggage as well.
So let's talk about the Laura Stiles things for a second, because that's actually how I found you.
Oh no.
And ironically, this is now the second time that Hot 97 has found a podcast for me.
Yeah.
Previously, I did one with a guy, Kevin Livingston, who runs a charity called 100 Suits.
Okay.
Where he provides resources to those like coming out of the penal system.
Okay.
So did you, in starting this, find it necessary to collaborate with like an influencer or somebody that had a reach?
I wanted to. Anyone that works on Envision, it has to be that you're passionate about what I'm passionate about.
Okay.
I really honestly don't care about influence and all that. Like Laura and I go way back before this whole social media era.
Right.
So when it first came to mind, I picked the best person for the opportunity.
Okay.
Like Laura knows music.
Right.
She's the best person to pick, and that's my homie. So I'm like,
right.
let's go.
Right.
You know, just finding the people to work with was like, if you were passionate about what I was talking about, then it's like, it's a no-brainer for me.
So talk to me about that process about finding your team.
So, I mean, it can go from, like, we're a very small I run a lean team. So, like, we already had the trade show component where people were working on certain things. So my production girl just kind of was like, she heard what I was doing. She was like, I want to be on board. Like, let's get it. So that was easy.
Right.
Then it was like, my marketing girl was like, oh my God, I want to be on board. So it wasn't like it was hard, because once you share your message and you understand what's needed, it was kind of like building that whole team all over again, and it was all female driven. And then I called my homie in Brooklyn, Ouija, and Ouija was like, I got something for you, let's do that. And me and Ouija worked together on other projects before, so I already knew who I kind of wanted in my circle.
Okay.
And I just recently hired a new PR girl, which is dope as hell. Her name is Sandrine Charles. She is part of that youth culture, and she's a good girlfriend of mine, and I'm just like, let's go, come on board. Anyone that has been, and then I've had a bunch of friends just like willing to help.
Right.
And pitch in. I got my girlfriend Nana, I got my girlfriend Piper, Amanda Tamara. All of them are just like, yo, what can we do? Like, I want to be a part of it. I can't be full time, but let me just help you in any way.
Right.
Even my sister, anyone, they just come out the woodworks and they're just like, how can I help you?
So you had your first.
We had our first event, October 2019, and it was beautiful.
18.
What are we in now?
19.
Oh my God, let me do that over.
Time.
So sorry. So yes, we had our first event in October 2018. And it was beautiful. It was a moment to remember. I remember like waking up in the morning and just being nervous, you know, like a kid.
Yeah, like a good nervous.
Like a good nervous. And like, you know, we started really early, like 9 o'clock. And I was like, oh my God, what if no one comes? Even though people bought tickets and stuff. You just always have that fear of like getting to the birthday party that you had and no one showing up, right? Yeah. So it was kind of like that. And then people started coming and then everyone was like, this is your first one? Like they were raving about it. I mean, and to top it off, the activations just went well. The conferences, the panel discussions went well. The shopping experiences went well. You saw like the kids doing yoga. Some kids never did yoga before. They never meditated before. Like all of that was happening, and you like got a chance to see it. Okay. And then at the end of the night, we had the concert, and Lauryn Hill came through at the end. Dope. I was like, Lauren, like
amazing.
Come on, like that sealed the deal for me, and that just pushed me to be like, you know what, this is something that God has sent me to do, and this is what I want to continue doing.
So I could be wrong, right? But it seems like the personality you have, like that night you went home, right? And you probably were already thinking about the next one.
Oh my God. Yes, 100%. We like dived in. Everyone was like, okay, so what's next? Like everyone is on board. Like, what's next? Like my boy Ouija's been calling me like, yo, what are we doing? What's happening? And I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. Everyone's just like really enthused to do it again. And then I started traveling all around. Like I went to go speak on a panel for my girlfriend Lola in Canada. Okay. And all those girls was like, oh my God, we saw it on Instagram. We're coming this year. Like it just like, it put a battery in your back. Like we got to do more. We got to do better.
So what's in the plans to accelerate it? Because you don't seem like a stagnant kind of chick.
Oh, no. You have to take it to the next level. We're looking at way different partners to partner with. This was like it's like if you dip your toe in the pond. Now I'm trying to dip my whole foot.
Right. I mean, I did see the board in your office. I'm not going to say everything that I was like, oh shit, those are some names.
I'm trying, yes. So that's what we're looking at doing. So you did understand. That's the direction I'm going with. It's not, it's organic. It's still going to be organically felt. But you're gonna understand that we're not coming. Like we're really serious about this.
Do you plan on moving out of New York and doing like a tour of it at some point?
At some point, but I got to keep it in my hometown, Brooklyn, for a little bit longer. I wanted to really and truly grow in Brooklyn and have that substance that it needs for those girls that are coming up.
That's dope. Yeah. So you also seem to do a lot giving back.
Yes.
Talk to me a bit about that.
So I'm on the board for a charity called African Health Now. Okay. My girlfriend Nana runs that. It's an amazing charity. I went to Ghana for the first time 2 years ago. And basically it's a non-for-profit that is dedicated to women with children and childbirth. Okay. So in the U.S., we're spoiled. What I recognize is we're spoiled. I don't have kids, so I don't know, but I have a ton of goddaughters and nieces and nephews. I do see what is out there, and we're really spoiled with the things that we get. But when you get to Ghana, certain parts of Ghana, there is no epidural. There is no package that you leave with. So my girlfriend created this to-go box for mothers that go to the hospital. Okay. And basically, if you buy one here in the States, one box is donated to the woman in Africa. Okay. The hospital doesn't give you the tools that you need. Just the simplest things is like sanitary napkins or like a blanket for the baby. Just things that women need right away to bring their baby outside. Yeah. You don't get that. Wow. So you have to either bring it with you or you're just out of luck. Right. Or there's a woman outside selling it to you. Probably. And, it's not as cheap. Right. So we started that program. She also has a medical side where she gives free healthcare to a lot of Africans in Ghana. So she'll have a health fair. So we went down, me and a couple of girlfriends of mine, we went down and they had a huge health fair. We serviced over, I would say, 350 people in one day. Wow. And she brings all these doctors down, and it's like a phenomenal thing. It's life-changing. It was life-changing to me. It is bigger than anything I think I would ever do in life. It just makes me feel good to give back. I think we all should be giving back in some way. Yeah,
it's an incredibly humbling experience.
It is very humbling.
And it's, although at times it makes you want to like internally cry and maybe physically cry, it's definitely better than money. Oh, 100%. Anything money could buy.
Anything money could buy. It's funny because as soon as we arrived, we were going to go paint the hospital. Okay. And this woman was having a baby in the car. And it was the most unreal thing that I've ever seen. The woman had the baby inside the car. We were all like around the car helping. And she got up and she walked into the hospital. By the next day, she had to get out because they needed to have the bed for someone else. They don't have enough beds in the hospital for the amount of women having babies. So just think about it. Sometimes we're in hospitals here for 2-3 days.
My wife was in the hospital for 4 days.
See? No, there's none of that. It's like you gotta go. You and your baby. You know, and it's just heartbreaking. And I honestly felt like for me, it was just a time in my life where I needed that. I needed to see that humbleness because it makes you just think about all the things that you take for granted here. Right? Like, I think about, well, I always say this now, like, people are like, I just turned 40, and they're like, what do you want for your birthday? And I'm like, nothing. I'm good. I am so happy right now with the way my life is transitioning and what I've been able to do. I always tell my friends, and they always laugh, I'm like, if I die tomorrow, I am happy. I did what I was supposed to do as much as I could. But if I continue to live, I'm going to continue to do more. And that's just it.
I couldn't agree with you more. So what's in the works?
What's in the works? Envision.
Other than Envision Fest too.
Family is very important to me.
Okay, so talk to me about that. How do you, as someone that's involved in a lot of different things, and aspirationally wants to do even more, like how do you fit family into that?
You have to make time for family. So me and my husband have the deal. On the weekends, it's me and him. Okay. The only way we separate is if we speak about it first and we're both on the same page. Okay. If I'm traveling more than 10 days, he will come and join me. Okay. He'll meet me wherever I'm at so that we have that kind of time. You just have to be able to fit it in the way you got to fit it in. Sometimes, like, I'm leaving, I get up at 5, he gets up at 5, and I'm going to the gym. I won't see him until the nighttime. Half the time I'm asleep because I'm getting up at 5, so I'm trying to get in bed by 9, 10. And you just don't see each other during the week. So you have to fit it in where you're going to fit it in. And the weekend is our thing. Like, we'll go to brunch. We'll just do anything. We'll sometimes just lounge around the house and watch TV all day. But as long as I'm with him, I'm good.
It's definitely a struggle sometimes.
It is hard as hell. Because then you also have to train your mind to not forget. Right? Like, the simplest things. Like, no, it's crazy because I find myself, you work all day. Right. And if you're the other person on the receiving line, not getting a text or even a like kite, like send something, send a flag or something, I always catch myself. I'm like, wait, gotta text him. How's your day going? And he'll text me, or how's your day going? But
when you realize that text you sent at 4:00 in the afternoon because you just been so busy all day.
That is the problem. And he's like, my day is over. But I think it's those little things that keep your relationship healthy. I also believe that for me and him, like, being apart, you start missing each other more. Like, I give it to all the couples that work together and live together. I just think that, like, you just got to have that. Why I think it's been going so well is, like, you have to have that miss. I need to miss you a little bit and come back and be like, oh, you know? So that's it.
I actually just had this conversation with my wife this morning because we have a very similar thing. She works, I work, and my days are long, and as are hers, and you know, by the time you come home, we're done. And we have a little one. So it's like, you put the little one to sleep, and it's like...
I'm not even there yet. I'm trying to get there.
It's amazing, but it is by far the most exhausting thing you've done.
Everyone says.
Think leading up to Envision Fest, plus another thing, and then multiply that by about 8. And that's it's just exhaustion at a different level. It's amazing, but it's insane.
But I want to be exhausted. I want to feel that. I don't know. I just want to feel it. I just think that that's the last thing that I would want to do, and that's it.
But I think it's important to plan, and I think when you're and you touched on a good point of like having that set time. Like when we first had my son, like I was working even more than I'm working now, and I decided to start taking Saturdays off just to spend the day with the family because it's not realistic in my business to take off the whole weekend. And now that's become a thing, but it's like this morning we're talking, and I'm like, yo, we need a day to like ourselves. Like let my parents or your parents watch the baby and like because I feel like as people that are out there working and grinding, that always comes first. Not because our family's not important, not because we don't love them, but that's just like in our internal drive.
But I also feel like as a female, you also lose yourself within that space. So it's important I am a firm believer of women taking care of themselves. Like, my friends always laugh because, like, I get my nails done every week. Like, I get a guy to come to my house and give me a massage because I think that those are the things that we need. I need it, and when you turn 40, it's like you start to recognize things. Like, okay, you need to take care of yourself more. Because I'm running all the time. I feel like I'm physically running all the time, and then when I stop, I hit a wall and I crash, and I'm gonna sleep for like 2 days straight and just chill.
Do you take time out for yourself?
100%.
So talk to me about
what
that.
I do now is I've learned to kind of do both. I work hard, but then there's always like a reward at the end. So for instance, I could tell you this month, I'm going to leave on Sunday, I'm going to go to LA for work, and then I'm going to go to Japan for work. Then I'm going to come back home and I'm going to work more, but at the end of the month, I'm going to go to Barbados.
Nice.
So that's how I do it. I always do like a trip at the end of the month.
Okay.
And it can be just a weekend, and I'm not a long vacationer. I'm not taking 2 weeks anywhere.
Right.
What I'm going to do is a Friday or leave on a Thursday and come back on a Sunday or a Monday. And that's all I need to reboost myself to like go again.
So in reboosting yourself,
yeah,
is that like is the islands and the water
the
like
islands,
what gets you?
The water is what gets me. The sun, just being able to like be free.
Okay.
And not have to worry and not be on your phone all day. You know, I think that the phones now have trained you to work even harder.
Correct.
Because there was a time when there was no cell phone. Everybody didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah.
So when you went home,
Yeah.
and you paid attention to what was in front of you. I think we're now so distracted, and myself included, by like all the social media things, all the news, the constant, that we tend to forget that there's so much out there bigger. Right? So now a new thing is like, even when we go to dinner, my husband, I'm like, leave the phones at home. So that we have to talk to each other.
I don't know that I could do that.
I need to do
You're
it.
better than me in that regard.
And even if you leave, like, we'll leave it in the car.
Yeah.
Try leaving it in the car, just in case you need it for emergency.
I'm gonna try it. We're gonna try that next time.
I just think that a friend of mine's, even that I work with, when you go to sleep in the night, he puts his phone on the other side of the room. And he sets his alarm. And then you don't touch the phone. Because when I get up in the middle of the night, what I do is the first thing, you get on the phone. And then that light, it wakes you up. Then you can't go back to sleep. And it just disturbs your whole rest. So I started trying to put my phone on the other side of the room just to kind of like break myself out of these habits that we have somehow, gotten used to.
They're controlling us.
Yeah, they're controlling us. Listen, I think we're going to end up in a whole nother world. I'm getting myself prepared with my to-go bag.
I agree totally. I'm totally prepared to play on both sides of that fence.
Do you have your go bag though?
I do.
You do, right?
I do.
See, people think I'm playing. I have copies of like my passport. I have a bag that sits in my front closet with water. Copies of my passport, copies of our birth certificates, driver's license, a little bit of money, just in case. Yeah. People think that I am like I am the craziest person on this planet. I'm like, do you not understand what happened when we had that big storm and shit went rogue really quick? Yeah.
People forget there was that power outage.
Hello.
Yeah. People couldn't get money, couldn't get gas.
I stood on gas line for 2.5 hours. People were fighting for gas. I got an electric car now, so now I'm hopefully better.
There you go. I didn't remember that. That was right after Sandy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that clear as day, and I was like, let me get my to-go bag. And I always keep water in my house because I have this fear of running out of water.
It's funny you talk about Sandy. Sandy really showed me the resiliency of New Yorkers.
Oh my God, we're not prepared.
Well, yes, we're not. But it also showed me how willing people are to help, but don't always know how. I
agree, but then I also think that it also shows people the crooked people that will take from you.
100%. I think you're always going to have that element of society in whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it really like astounded me. So like when that happened, I was running a Boy Scout troop in Queens, and because there was no electricity, my business was out the window because everything in real estate is electronic.
Got it.
And we decided to run a relief drive, and we ended up filling up a gymnasium like 2.5 times over.
Good.
And sending 13 truckloads of stuff out to the Rockaways.
Amazing.
And then we took a group of people on Black Friday, and instead of going shopping, we went out to like Beach 40 and right in the hood and cooked for people and gave out blankets and shit. And it's like, this is the same neighborhood that like normally you wouldn't want to go to during the day just because it's probably not the safest thing.
Yeah.
But we had kids, we had like a whole bunch of like different people connected to me out there helping. And you could see how appreciative the people were that normally probably would have confronted you in a totally different manner.
Yeah.
And it's just, New York has this thing to it where we have this grit, like we have this hard exterior.
Yeah.
But under it, like...
We're like cookies.
Or teddy bears.
We are cookies.
Yeah.
You know how cookies are crispy on the outside
Yeah.
When you bite in the middle, it's like really soft sometimes.
Now you got me thinking about cookies.
I'm telling you, we're like little cookies.
I think we're gonna have to go get some cookies again.
Cookies are so good.
Oh my God. I got like 6 of them from Insomnia the other day.
Oh my God.
I had to give them away. I was like, here, take these before I eat them all.
That's the problem.
And Dylan's trying to eat
At least
all
you
of them.
have like some sort of self-control.
Sometimes.
My obsession is like pinkberry, which I think is the worst thing in the world. I obsess over it really badly. It's the craziest thing. Like I sent a Postmate to get pinkberry. So like it's like triple the price. You're spending $18 on pinkberry.
That's crazy.
And you're like, but I do it and it's like so rewarding at the end.
We all have our vices.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about like that crazy idea that's in the back of your head that's like, shit, I don't know if I really want to do this, but I do, but I think it could work.
Oh, I have one wild ass idea. Am I supposed to talk about this on the...
I don't know. If you decide we want to edit this after the fact, we can.
Okay. So a really huge idea, and I don't know how huge it is I grew up in an era where everyone's skating, and it was fun. And there's a building in Brooklyn that I somehow want to purchase. There's 2 things that I want to do. I want to purchase this building and make it an Envision building.
Okay.
And make it fun for kids.
Okay.
I don't feel like kids have fun anymore. I think that they always have their phone. They don't even talk to each other. They have social anxiety. Like, I want kids to be able to drop their phone at the door, and that's your way to pay to get in. You come in, and it's like a fun place.
Okay.
And you can roller skate. You can learn how to do tech stuff. You can play basketball. You can do whatever the hell you want, but it just needs to be there. And if you want to do an Instagram moment, we'll have that there for you. That's like my big pie in the sky idea.
That don't seem too crazy.
And that would make me happy. I just want to be able to give back to the culture. I just feel like the kids coming up under us, they're going to be the ones that's making the decisions on our healthcare, or this, or that. And you need to teach them from young that what they need to do.
The one thing, and I know it seems like, a lot of people think that the younger generation is too into social. I actually think it's a positive.
I think it's a positive thing. I don't think it's a horrible thing. I just think there needs to be balance.
I hear you. I'm very curious as to engagement and then like what we know. Like I look at having grown up in a non-tech like time, right? I look at what I know about people, and I frankly know a lot more about people now because of social media than I would have 20 years ago.
But I think that I agree, but I also then think that you know what they want you to know. Social media now is curated, and no one's telling you that they're broke and their phone is off. They might not post that one day because their phone is like, no one is saying that. So social media to me is just a story of what everyone wants you to see. It's not I'm not going to say all the time. I say half the time it's not the truth. So for me, when I look at young girls, when we look at these girls that come to Envision, they look at social media as that platform where I need to look like that, or I have to be like that. And that's where it's not right for me, because then it gives them that self-doubt. And that's what I don't like. I want young girls
So how do you switch that? How do you change that?
I think that we need to start telling the truth on Instagram. Like, people need to really be real about Instagram. If you're heavyweight, that's great. Be proud of it. I have a girlfriend, her name is Iskra. I think she's amazing because she's like, listen, I got stretch marks. I was skinny at one point. Now I'm a little thicker, and I kind of like it. Like, that kind of way. What I don't want to hear is, I drank tummy tea and my stomach is now flat. Or
hit me up for a code.
Okay. I just think it's like, I want people to start being real and telling the truth. Like, there's some days when you're sad, and it's like, I'll be like, I'm sad, but speak about it and be honest. There's some people that do that, but then there's some people that, but the majority of girls are like, oh my God, look at me, I'm so skinny. So you have young girls looking at that, and it's again, you're not stopping the cycle. This is just going to be a regurgitated cycle that these young girls are going to go through. But now it's worse because now it's on social media, and now they got people bullying them. And now, back in the day, you had beef with someone. It was like, okay, it was that one day. It might have lingered in school, but no one else knew about it. Nowadays, you got it on World Star Hip Hop. It's like, it's just...
Yeah, but still, so I hear that argument all the time. And my problem with that argument is, as quick as it's on whatever it is as quick as it's off. And granted, it exists in the long term there, but people already forgot it. Like, we forgot about how bad Haiti was destructed, and that was only 5 years ago.
Agreed. But I think some people don't forget.
There's always a subset.
There's always something that they don't.
For me, I have serious trouble around people crying about bullying because I feel like bullying has always existed.
100%.
And I feel
it's just that it's heightened now. It's heightened. Dude,
I think these kids are weaker.
Oh, 100%.
I think
they are weaker, but this is the generation shift. But you have to understand the generation shift. What we went through, our parents didn't go through. You know what I mean?
That's true. I mean, we grew up in a different New York.
We grew up in a whole different... I feel like I grew up in the best time of New York. You can't tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as bad as it was, we had fun.
Yeah.
We went out. We partied all night. Mm-hmm. Then went to work. And, like, it was just a rotation of fun. Mm-hmm. Now these kids coming up and having a different kind of fun. What they think is fun.
So do you use some of, like, what we're discussing now to shape your content and what you're doing around Envision Fest?
100%.
So talk to me about that.
It's about, for process. Us, when we do our content, I have a really good girl that's very passionate. She's like ridiculously passionate about content.
Okay.
Like, she wants to make sure the messaging is right and the sound is right and the people that we're trying to direct it to is right. So it's about really uplifting young girls and telling them, and it's every girl from around wherever, it's from Queens, from Bronx, from Brooklyn. It's like we are a diverse company, whereas I want to show you that we all can get along. I think the premise all the time is that women are very catty. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, let's stop that cycle. Mm-hmm. We're not catty. We're here to work together. We're here to grind together. So when we do a call, what we do is we bring girls from all around. They don't know each other, but then they get to know each other. And they start working together on different projects, which I think is very interesting. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I like the fact that they're able to like move and shake in their own zone, and someone at one point is going to help the next one and the next one and the next one, and in 5 years you never know, one person is going to be the CEO of another company or president of and they're going to get hired because that's how these things go. Right. So that's how we shape things. Mm-hmm. That's the
Listen, you're saying a lot of the same things that I believe, so like that's why I'm laughing, because I've had these conversations with Dylan and with my associates all the time. So is there anything you want to leave us with before we wrap?
Just always,
maybe like a shameless plug or...
A shameless plug. No, I'll leave it like this. My main mantra would always be set your tone. And that goes out to everybody out there. I want you to set your tone for what you want to be, not what someone else wants you to be. And of course, in the Envision Fest, September 12th to the 14th at Industry City in Brooklyn.
We'll plug it like right here.
You'll plug it right here?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Cool.